Ita Gopremanandi. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Stotra Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Abhay Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Stotra Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Kori Vaishnava Vrind Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem se kho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrind Ki. Shri Radha Gopan Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavan Dham Ki. Mathura Dham Ki. Mayapur Dham Ki. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki. Yamuna Mai Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Book Distribution Ki. Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki. Itai Gopremanandi. All glory to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glory, Shri Guru and Shri Guru. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to this morning's Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Canto 3, chapter 22, verse number 9, which is on the board. Before that, we recite the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, reading from chapter 3, titled The Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti, verse number 9. Priya Vrato Tanupado Swaseyam duhita mama Anvichati patim yuktam Vaya Shila Gunadivi Priya Vrato Danupado Swaseyam duhita mama Anvichati patim yuktam Vaya Srila Gunadivi Priya Vrato Tanapado Swaseyam duhita mama Anvichati patim yuktam Vaya Srila Gunadivi Priya Vrato Tanupado Swaseyam duhita mama Anvichati patim yuktam Vaya Srila Gunadivi. Priya Vrata Utanapado. Of Priya Vrata and Utanapada. Swasa, sister. Iyam, this. Duhita, daughter. Mama, my. Anvichati, is seeking. Patim, husband. Yuktam, suited. Vaya Shilaguna Adibi, by age, character, good qualities, etc. Translation is purported by His Divine Grace Srila Abhayachandra Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. My daughter is the sister of Priyavrata and Uttanapada. She is seeking a suitable husband in terms of age, character, and good qualities. The grown-up daughter of Swayambhuva Manu Devahuti had good character and was well qualified. Therefore, she was searching for a suitable husband just befitting her age, qualities, and character. The purpose of Manu's introducing his daughter as the sister of Priyavrata and Uttanapada, two great kings, was to convince the sage that the girl came from a great family. She was his daughter and at the same time the sister of Kshatriyas. She did not come from a lower class family. Manu therefore offered her to Kardama just suitable for his purpose. It is clear that although the daughter was mature in age and qualities, she did not go out and find her husband independently. She expressed her desire for a suitable husband corresponding to her character, age, and quality. And the father himself, out of affection for his daughter, took charge of finding such a husband. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Cha Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpa tirubhascha kripa sindhuba evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay, we read from Canto 3, Chapter 22, verse number 9. I'll read the translation again. My daughter is the sister of Priyavrata and Uttanapada. She's seeking a suitable husband in terms of age, character, and good qualities. So welcome everyone to this morning's Bhagavatam class here in person and those that are watching on Mayapur TV and YouTube. So this section of the Bhagavatam, especially this chapter, the title itself explains that the marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. And in this first section we see how first, towards the conclusion of the previous chapter, the king, Kardama Muni was glorifying the king for his qualities. So you see this in Vaishnava culture. When you have someone, you have a guest, the way the host receives the guest is by saying words of glorification or welcoming the guest with sweet words. And quite often in our day-to-day dealings, and especially in, as Kali Yuga is progressing at such a rapid pace, we see a lot of times when a guest comes to a home, and it's just become, at times it becomes a common norm that we welcome the guest by offering sarcastic words. Like, oh, how did you forget, stopping by? It's been so, in a way of saying, it's been so long that I've seen you. Quite often people would say, oh, in a sarcastic way, oh, it seems like you've forgotten us. You haven't been here. So, but we see in the last chapter how graciously and such wonderful words of glorification were offered by Swayambhuva Manu, by Kardama Muni to Swayambhuva Manu. And here we start off where Swayambhuva Manu indeed reciprocates by glorifying Kardama Muni. And here he's offering his daughter's hand in marriage to Kardama Muni. And we'll see in the later verses how that gesture or his intention of coming there is further and further elucidated, and we'll see how Kardama Muni agrees to the proposal. So as I was reading this, and we see there are two kinds, recently, I think a few weeks ago, Baba Prabhu and Ganesha Prabhu were doing pastimes of Krishna Leela. And this is the month of Kartik. In this month, obviously every day, but in this month in particularly, the pastimes of Krishna are meant to be recited 24 hours. We all need to hear of Krishna's pastimes in this month in particularly, especially the Damodar Leela, where Mother Yashoda binds Krishna. As I was reading this and I was going through this pastime, where Swayambhuva Manu was offering his daughter's hand to Kardama Muni, immediately I thought of the pastime of Rukmini in the 10th canto, how she approaches, how she's wanting to, she's, now we'll see in the later verses how that attachment that Devahuti has for Kardama Muni is based on hearing. Just by hearing about Kardama Muni, she's gotten such strong rati or attachment for Kardama Muni, and we see that similar pastime or there's a similar occurrence happening in the 10th canto. And in that Rukmini, it starts off where her marriage has been fixed to Shishupal, and she's not happy with that alliance, and she has heard about Krishna. She's heard about Krishna, she's heard about Krishna's qualities, and she's so attracted to him, she's so attached to him that she actually reaches out to Krishna through a letter from a Brahmana. The letter is conveyed to Krishna through a Brahmana, in which she writes that my heart has been sold out to you. She is basically describing Krishna that, please, I know this may not be befitting for a woman to just come directly to you, but I just can't help it. And this has happened only by hearing about Krishna. In fact, later on, she basically lists out the ways by which Krishna can come on the wedding day itself, where she'll be going for, she'll be going to the nearby temple to seek blessings, and then she describes to Krishna how can he come and kidnap her. So that's called a Rakshasa marriage, where it's befitting Kshatriyas, where they'll actually prove their valor, prove their heroics, and take their bride. And if you read Rukmini's letter, it's described in Krishna book and as well as in the 10th canto. She is actually telling Krishna, please, my attachment is so strong that I would love to be a maidservant. So, she's not asking to be, obviously she wants to be married to Krishna, but at the same time her attachment is such that she is actually wanting to be Krishna's maidservant. That means doing whatever Krishna desires. And she realizes that it's not easy to attain Krishna's favor. And she says, Lord Shiva has been performing so many austerities. If you read Krishna book, you'll see all these details there. So I'll just read out what she actually writes in that. Sorry, I was actually having another verse here. But what she actually describes to Krishna, and Prabhupada writes in that section of the Krishna book, that the determination that Rukmini has for Krishna is that what we as devotees should be practicing to achieve Krishna in this lifetime. She is willing to forego her material relationships. She is willing to forego, in one sense, the chastity that comes with, she's actually transgressing the etiquette by going directly to Krishna. She's not afraid of customs that are obviously prevalent in society at that time. So that determination is what one should actually have to achieve Krishna in this lifetime. And if you read Bhagavad Gita 7.28, Yesham tvantagatam papam jaranam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridavrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous life and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the duality, the delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. This word determination comes again in chapter 9 of the Gita, 9.13 and 9.14. Mahatmanastu mam parta devam prakritim ashitaha bhajante ananya manusho natva bhutadim avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Now, if you read 7.28 and you read this together, you would think persons have acted piously in their previous lives. One may think, so that means my past piety is actually the important factor here for me to, for me to have the determination to advance further in bhakti. But you see, Prabhupada again comes with it in 9.14. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatanta cha dudavataha namasyanta cha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upashate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So how do we get this determination? Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport and in one of the purport in the Bhagavad Gita, that determination comes from hearing. Hearing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, hearing about Krishna, chanting, you clearly see, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So hearing about Krishna is the panacea for us to overcome this bondage, and most importantly have that strong attachment to Krishna. Similarly, we see again in the 10th canto, chapter 23, the wives of the Brahmana, Yajnik Brahmanas. So as the pastime ensues, Krishna and Balarama are in the forest, and the other Gopas, they feel hungry, and then they say, Krishna, we're hungry. So Krishna tells them in the nearby village there's a sacrifice. There's some Brahmanas performing sacrifice. Why don't you go and tell them, ask them for food, and tell them Krishna and Balaram have sent you. And when the boys go to the Brahmanas, obviously these are the most qualified externally. They've been, they've received training. They have undergone all the purificatory processes. They are well versed in Shastra. However, they fail to recognize the position of Krishna and Balaram. And there's a discussion that's happening between the Brahmanas and the boys, where the boys are also in one sense trying to tell them, explain them the intricacies of the sacrifice they're about to perform and how they wouldn't be transgressing or evading the sacrifice by giving the foodstuffs for Krishna and Balaram's pleasure. However, they don't listen, and the boys return dejected to Krishna and Balaram. And Krishna, seeing the despondency, he says, "Oh, don't worry. By the way, just go to the wives of the Brahmanas. And don't tell them I'm hungry, but just tell them Krishna and Balaram have asked for food." And as Krishna and Balaram go to the wives, they'd explain to them what's happened. And the wives, just naturally, out of their love for Krishna, they basically offer, they cook, whatever they've offered, they offer it all. They come to see Krishna. And they offer their food stuff. And what I was going to read was that their discussion that they actually discussed. They actually say. So it is actually... So when they come to Krishna and Balaram, similar to when the gopis come in the middle of the night to see Krishna, and Krishna tries to tell them, you should go back to your homes. He takes a similar stance here with the wives of the Brahmanas. He tells them, you should just go. Because it's not befitting for a wife of a Brahmana to be associating with a cowherd boy. So Krishna brings in all these varnashrama considerations there, and wives of Brahmana just say, look, this won't work with us. So Canto 10, chapter 23, verse number 29. When Krishna tells them, just, it's fine, but it's not befitting for you to be here, please go back home. The wives of the Brahmanas replied, 10:23.9. O Almighty One, please do not speak such cruel words. Rather, you should fulfill your promise that you always reciprocate with your devotees in kind. Now that we have attained your lotus feet, we simply wish to remain here in the forest, so we may carry upon our heads the garlands of tulsi leaves that fall down from your lotus feet. We are ready to give up all material relationships. So the last part of the verse says, we simply wish to remain here in the forest so that we may carry upon our heads the garlands of tulsi leaves that fall from your lotus feet. We are ready to give up all material relationships. So, in the purport there, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that these wives are not even, they know it won't be possible for them to get the position of gopis and the maid servants. What are they desiring? Just to be, they either want to be, they want a benediction from Krishna that they can be as one of the trees, as one of the presiding deities in the forest, or to be crushed by the lotus feet, and by the tulsi leaves that fall down from Krishna, that are actually coming from Krishna. So they are willing to take a most menial position there rather than going back to their homes. Later on in this chapter, in the same chapter, in the 10th canto, when the husbands come to know of what's happened, and they are so remorseful of what's happened, and they say, our wives are actually our spiritual masters, because they are showing us, as we see in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedas Charva, Aham Seva Vedya, Vedanta Krit, Vedahi Devachaham. From all the Vedas I am to be known. So they condemned their act of neglecting Krishna, yet at the same time they glorify how their wives have been so glorious in developing that strong sense of devotion to Krishna. And it's described that the moment they come to know of their misgiving, they seek offense from Krishna, but at the same time they want to go and surrender to Krishna, but they're so scared of Kamsa that they don't go. And in the purport it's written, and also in Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book, that the wives were actually at a much higher platform of devotional service, because they were willing to forego all the restrictions, all of the conventions. They're willing to take all risks just to go see Krishna, like how the gopis are willing to see Krishna in the middle of the night, not fearing of the wild animals in the forest. They're just willing to sacrifice anything to go see Krishna. At the same time, these brahmanas, even though they know that they should be surrendering to Krishna, so they are not, but within themselves they're holding on to that fear of what will happen to us. So they are actually still on that bodily platform. And that's what Krishna wants us to do in the final verse of the Gita. Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam brajaha. Abandon all right religion and just surrender unto me. So even in our own lives, whatever is holding us back to surrender to Krishna, to surrender to Radha Gopinath, to surrender to the instruction of a spiritual master, we should somehow or the other try to overcome it. And that can be done, as described in the Gita, is through the process of hearing and remaining in the association of devotees. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse number 2, Prabhupada writes, can't remember the verse on the top of my head, or actually 9.3, Ashashadana Purushaha Dharmasyasa Parantapaha Aprapyamam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. Those who are not faithful in this devotion service cannot attain me or conquer of enemies. Therefore they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, faith is created by association of devotees. So for us to have that faith, have the determination, that comes in the association of devotees. And obviously what matters most is what kind of association do we create? What kind of association do we keep? A lot of times in our own, at least I speak for myself, in my own Krishna consciousness, I tend to gravitate more in the association of devotees that I'm comfortable being in that position. A lot of times we fear for stepping out of our comfort zone. Once I heard Vaisheshika Prabhu said, and he was quoting someone, it was just a common quote, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Meaning that if you're in a room where everyone just looks up to you and you're being glorified, that means there's something wrong. You need to go and seek out association where you will learn, where you look up to. We should always be willing to take guidance and inspiration from those that can inspire us to come out of our comfort zone, because ultimately it's our false ego that actually keeps us grounded in this material world. In that connection, I was reading just yesterday, Vaisheshika Prabhu shared something on Facebook, and I'll read this out because it's so interesting, and he titles it, A Letter to My Dear False Ego. And he starts his letter, My dear false ego, it has taken me quite some time to find the courage to write you this letter. And I realize that it may come to you as a surprise, since we have been together for so long and we've been through so much. I know also that I'm the one who started this relationship in the first place, but I have changed. I now know that what we had was unhealthy, especially my depending on you to watch and appreciate every move that I made. And you're telling me that I was great, wise, clever, and so on, even when I wasn't. The fact is, I've met someone who has changed my life by showing me how to serve Krishna, who resides in my heart and who grants contentment in exchange for even a shadow of devotion, who oversees the principles of righteousness and who delivers the universe with his names. By being true to Krishna, I'll be fully happy and satisfied, and will have no reason to embellish who I am or what I've done. I'm not only very confident about my new life and relationship, but I'm also very excited about it. I'm pretty sure that you know who it is I've met, because you remarked about how much time I was spending reading his books. Please know that my decision is firm, and therefore I request you to make things easy for both of us by not contacting me anymore. I've taken the liberty to clear out your things, and I've put them neatly in boxes in the detached garage. Please come get them when I'm not home, and kindly leave your key along with any copies of keys that you have made. Please don't contact me or write back to me. I will only make it worse otherwise. I suggest that we both make a clean break. I'm sure that you'll find someone else. Good luck and goodbye forever, Vaisheshika Das. And he quotes a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 22.16. O my Lord, there is no limit to the unwanted orders of lusty desires. Although I have rendered these desires so much service, they have not shown any mercy to me. I have not been ashamed to serve them, nor have I even desired to give them up. O my Lord, O head of the Yadu dynasty, recently, however, my intelligence has been awakened, and now I am giving them up. Due to transcendental intelligence, I now refuse to obey the unwanted orders of these desires, and I now come to you to surrender myself at your fearless lotus feet. kindly engage me in your personal service and save me. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 22.16. So Vaisheshika Prabhu is writing this letter glorifying Srila Prabhupada. And on this occasion, there's a pastime of Srila Prabhupada that I'd like to speak on, because this is something that has bring forth such a strong sense of gratitude in my heart, and obviously for all of us, because had it not been for Srila Prabhupada, we wouldn't have been sitting here having an opportunity to transform our lives or to be even closer to serving Shri Radha Gopinath, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Shri Gaur Nitai, and our Guru Varga. So Yogeshwar Prabhu in his book, I forget the name of the book. Swamiji in a strange land. In that book, he writes that once Srila Prabhupada at that time was Swamiji, or he had taken sannyas. He was not known as Prabhupada. He was only known as Prabhupada later on when he came to America. He was residing in the Radha Damodar temple. And every night there'd be, so this person telling the story is Babaji, Hridayananda Babaji Maharaj. And he's saying that every night he would wake in the middle of the night to hear to someone crying and sweeping the courtyard of Radha Damodar, of Sri Rupa Goswami. And he'd be crying so intensely, "Oh Rupa, Sanatan, please kindly bestow upon me your mercy of executing my spiritual master's instructions." And every night he would, like for hours, he would just be cleaning the temple, cleaning the Samadhi of Rupa Goswami. And one morning he actually happened to go up to Swamiji and say, "Can I help you with some of your chores?" And to which, Srila Prabhupada agreed. And he said that Srila Prabhupada was away for that morning, attending to some other services. And while he was in his room, he noticed a lot of cobwebs on the ceiling. And as he looked at the cobwebs, he just took a brush and he just slightly, just brushed them aside, and without even hurting them, so that the because it was a lot of spiders and cobwebs there. So the moment he did that, he could see that the spiders were all on the floor, and that they, in one sense, just seemed a bit disoriented because they were having a comfortable residence up there. And now he sees, and at that same time, Swamiji comes in the room and he sees, that there's been some havoc in the room, and he chastises Hridayananda Babaji. "What have you done?" And at time Babaji said, "Oh, okay, Swamiji, sorry, I just saw some cobwebs and I haven't hurt them, but I've just, I just didn't want to cause, inconvenience to you." And Swamiji responded, "Inconvenience to me? These spiders and their ancestors have been in Vrindavan all their life. And for generations, we are newcomers to Vrindavan, so we are actually subservient to them." And to this, so you see Srila Prabhupada's mood, he's in such a humble mood that he's saying that these entities or these personalities have actually resided in Vrindavan for much longer than he did. And Babaji Maharaj then later responded, "I have lived in Vrindavan or in Vraj my whole life." And obviously that also holds true for all of his ancestors in his previous generations. "But never have I seen someone do sadhana like him." Never have I seen anyone do sadhana like him. So these great souls, they are fixed up in their determination. So what we can do is just pray to them, engage in their service, so that we may also get a drop of that determination to serve them. And by serving them, we actually please Shri Radha Gopinath and our lordships. So I'd like to end here. If there's any question, comment, clarification. Yeah, Prabhu, correction. Mother Rukmini, yes. That attachment. Yep.
We're also hearing so much, we're not getting so much.
Prabhu, that hearing we have to be patient. So tateno kampam samikshumana. That verse in the Bhagavatam, I think 10:14, 14th chapter of the Bhagavatam. if we just keep persevering with what we have, and we're in this month of Damodar, where we see this pastime of Mother Yashoda binding Krishna happen. Mother Yashoda was also persevering, and then, so we need both perseverance, and actually in Sanskrit it's called parishram and Krishna Kripa. So we perform our services with determination, to whatever determination we have, whatever we beg and we endeavor with, and then Krishna will be pleased in due course of time. And again, we keep on serving, and the rest is in Radha Gopinath's hands. So yesterday, Sankaran Prabhu was doing Govardhan Parikrama, and I think maybe I've missed it for a second, but there is a temple of I can't remember exactly, the Lotika Baba. I'm not sure if I'm not getting the first part right, but so that pastime goes as such that there was this, I'm not sure, elderly Gopa, or there's a Gopa. Krishna tells him that I'll be coming to your home for lunch. But that same day, Krishna is being taken away by Akrura to Mathura. And as Krishna and Balaram are going on the chariot, this Lotika Baba, I can't remember exactly, it's the first part of his name, memory is not allowing me to, he stops Krishna. Krishna, you are going to come to my home for lunch, and I'm preparing lunch for you. And Dinabandhu Prabhu, in his, recently, we've had the good fortune of hearing him in Vrindavan, his classes in Vrindavan that I was hearing on YouTube. He said Krishna said 3 words which have been framed for eternity. Just now coming. Don't worry, I'll be back in a few hours. But Krishna, I've already prepared. Krishna said, if I'm not back today, I'll be back tomorrow. Just now coming. He said, if I'm not back tomorrow, I'll be back the day after. Until today, it is said that personality, his temple is actually, or there's a deity there who's actually still waiting for Krishna to come. And obviously we hear from Brihad Bhagavatamrita that Krishna does go back to Vrindavan. He never leaves Vrindavan, he's always there. So similarly, hearing that attachment will come as long as we are actually serving, we're persistent and persevering in our attempts. Once I'd heard Amarendra Prabhu say this, that a lot of time with our hearing, it can be, especially when I speak for myself, when I'm hearing devotees say, a lot of times there's a tendency to discriminate, like I would like to hear from, only if this Prabhu or Maharaji is speaking, or whatever it is, I just like to hear classes from this person. However, he was saying that he was in Mayapur for 2 months or something like that, and he saw Pankajangri Prabhu and Janani Prabhu sitting in Bhagavatam class every day. Even though some of those Bhagavatam classes will be in Bengali, but they'll be sitting there in the class just hearing the sound vibrations. So, there was no discrimination. In that sense, he was saying how, we just, the words of the Shastra are actually purifying, and obviously, Satatam Kirtayantamam, always chanting my glory, they're always lending, our oral reception to hearing actually will purify us. It's a process that's meant to work. Last year, there was a note by Sachinandan Swami on Facebook, and he was saying that he was doing a retreat 1 year, and while he was doing the retreat, he saw someone sitting in the audience who pretty much looked like a homeless person, like a bum. He was just lying down on the ground, but he was away from the devotees, and he just saw him, and he just said something didn't seem right, and he had his bottle of alcohol there with him, and he was just lying down, and every few minutes he was just sipping in. Next year he came back he was doing a similar retreat, but obviously in the same city, same temple, and after the retreat he got a pat on his back, and he said, yes, and he said, if you remember me, do you remember me? And he said, Maharaj said, I apologize, but I don't remember you. It's like last year when you were doing the retreat, I was there every day hearing you, and because of because of hearing the Bhagavatam, because of the kindness of devotees, I've actually, over the last year, Krishna has been very kind to me, and I've been able to take up the process of chanting and devotional service. And Maharaj could recognize him because he's completely shaven, and he was in Vaishnava attire. So that's the power of hearing. So it actually works. Just have to be patient and diligent, patient and. Like I said, at least for myself, during this Kartik, I've realized, at least, in my own sadhana, that at times I would have this tendency and this weakness of just hearing from certain people, but then the moment I realize that hearing has to be without discrimination. Obviously, we exercise some discrimination in the sense that, if we want to develop certain qualities or we want to follow in the footsteps of certain personalities and we hear from them, we, prioritize that over the others, but in general, the less discrimination when it comes to at least hearing the message of the Bhagavatam, then it's easier for us to happen. Anything else? Okay. Thank you again. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Shri Kartik Mas ki, Nita Go Premanandi, Go Bhakta Vrinda ki.